Joe Phantomaniacs, welcome to the newest unboxing here on the Needless Things YouTube channel. I am very excited because at long last, the third wave of G.I. Joe Ultimates from Super 7 are here in the Phantom Zone. We are kicking this week off with one of my most anticipated figures, Doc, our combat medic. You'll notice that this is just in the slipcover, no brown box packaging. And also the slipcover is no longer, it doesn't have the raised surfaces anymore. It's all just printed, which is fine with me. That doesn't bother me one little bit. But if Super 7 wants to reduce costs in some areas where it's easy to do so in order to make sure they keep prices for these products where they are, then great. Because look, as gorgeous as this packaging is, as much as I love the camo and everything, like the wear, I think it looks great. At the end of the day, the figure is all I'm keeping. So, down the line, if they want to ship me these figures in a plastic bag, I'm not going to object. I'm going to open up right here, and there is Doc. Get to him in a second. On the back, we've got a file card in the classic, because this is all Sunbow based. So kind of the classic pit computer readout look. Some shots from the Sunbow cartoon. And Doc is so critical to me because he's not just the guy that lets us know that Duke is going to be okay. He's also the creator. He's the guy that invents a lot of solutions to Cobra problems, or the problems that Cobra presents early on in the Sunbow cartoon. So he's plays a critical role in our early G.I. Joe adventures. And I love the character for that. And Doc was always a figure I liked. He always got a lot of play because while not every Joe specialty was needed on every mission, I always had a medic out on missions, and Doc was that guy. So I'm thrilled to have this Sunbow specific version of Doc, and I can't wait to see what he looks like in Classified. Our backdrop here is, of course, the beautiful explosion. And here is the figure. Let's get it out of these trays and take a look at what we've got. Some of the accessories in here are Sunbow specific. Some are based on things we saw with the original figure. And then some are just, I'm going to be really careful with that and explode it out of there, I guess. Oh, wow, that's interesting. And then some they kind of just put together based on other resources and references from the Joe universe. Wow, that's neat. Okay. It looks like everything is held in here with friction. No tape on the accessories, which I really appreciate. I'm sure you guys never get sick of hearing me talk about how much I hate it when there's tape on the accessories. That fist went flying. I love the gloved hands. That's a nice touch. And even though Doc is a pacifist, which is often what Lifeline gets identified with because of Sunbow, but back on the original file cards, Doc was the pacifist. I want to be really careful with these heads because those glasses obviously are potentially very scary and fragile. A little too much friction holding that into place, perhaps. There we go. And then we've got our annoying plastic tabs, but I will say these are nice and loose, so they're kind of just making sure the figure doesn't go anywhere, not so much holding it tightly in place, which is the sweet spot we want for these things, because we don't want them to leave lines on the figures. Right off the bat, I see a problem. Much as I hate to say it, you've got a big orange paint spatter right here on Doc's wrist. Not great. But otherwise, I mean, this is Doc. Sorry, I'm just taking it in. I'm so happy to have this figure. So I had assumed that this helmet would be permanently attached to one head I'm trying to figure out what the difference is in these heads. And I'm also trying to figure out if I can even get this helmet off. I mean, it's loose. It's meant to come off clearly. But I'm trying to get it around the glasses without messing anything up. There we go. Okay. So the helmet does come off and presumably can go on any of the heads. The glasses are glued on, permanently attached, so there is no need at all for separate glasses, which I approve of. You know how much I've talked about not needing separate glasses, sunglasses. The colors of his plastics... Oh, man. We've got some rough spots here. So... I hate it we're starting the week off like this because I'm a little disappointed with this guy. We've got some issues, so let's zoom in and take a look at them. Potentially, this needs to be returned issues. You can see right here we've got some pretty bad stress marks, scratch marks in the armpits. And up here on top of the shoulder, when I articulated the shoulder, it scratched that plastic. I mean, look, this is what happens. I'm excited about a figure, and then when there's one thing that is kind of a glaring problem, then it starts you down like, well, okay, where do other issues land for me personally, and how acceptable are they? And I'll tell you right now, the color of the plastics don't match across the figure. It's not terrible, but it's noticeable. And when there's one problem sticking out, well, multiple problems sticking out, because this is pretty bad right here. This shouldn't look like this. So then you're compelled to like, well, let's just run down what's wrong, as opposed to if it wasn't for this, and if it wasn't for this, I might gloss over like this disc not matching the surrounding plastic and the chest being a slightly different shade from the sleeves. But unfortunately, those things jump out and you start taking notice of everything else. Design-wise, Doc looks excellent. You all know I'm a big fan of single-jointed joints that are mindful of the aesthetics of the figure. And this is interesting because usually on this kind of thing, we would have a swivel up here, but because of the trousers that he's wearing, it's just a single bend. And I am fine with that, especially considering... Now he has no... Oh, there we go. Oh, look, we've got more... That's a pretty significant piece of flash right there, although that's probably going to scrape off. I mean, it shouldn't be there. We've got some more stress marks here. Yikes. Super 7, I don't like speaking poorly. So we've got a full kind of swivel around right there. So when we want to sit him down, he can't achieve a seated position. The seams going down the legs, everything looks good. All the design is good. Is the execution here, as is often the case, that seems to be presenting some problems with the figure. I like the way his wristbands are done. The sculpt. They're not just these circles. They actually have sort of a shape to them. And the portrait. So let's try and figure out the difference between... Okay. So this is sort of a neutral portrait, and this, he's got angry eyebrows. Very little difference other than that. Well, other than this black that kind of leaked down past the hairline there, which is also a problem. Oh, man. So all of these issues combined, I think I'm going to be contacting Big Bad Toy Store, my favorite online toy retailer. Look, he's got some kind of imperfection right over here as well. Lots of... I think there are enough combined flaws here that I'm probably going to contact Big Bad and ask for a replacement. Oh, look at this. He's got completely missing paint. Wow, this is a bad one. I got to say, this is pretty rough from Super 7. Let's keep going with design and overlook other production stuff for the time being, or not overlook, but move on. Ankles are just up and down, no swivel. Oh, wait a minute. No, it is. They're modern ankles. I thought they weren't going to do this. So they do still have, wow, very, very limited that way because of the cuff of the pants. And again, I'm pretty okay with that because the alternative is to have the hinge like up here in the pants or make the pants too high. I am generally okay with the decisions that Super 7 makes about limiting articulation in order to maintain the profile of their figure. So articulation, it all is designed well. You got a little bit more than 90-degree bend in that elbow. You got a swivel bicep, swivel at the top of the elbow. I don't know that both are necessary, but whatever. All the paint, as long as it's not slopping outside of where it's supposed to go, looks good. The way his collar is done with the undershirt. Again, design-wise, he is fantastic. He's got the holster over here, which is pretty standard for Sunbow. And, of course, he stands up nicely. That's rarely ever a problem with Super 7. So let's take a look at the accessory loadout. He has got a medical shoulder bag. A couple of pouches up here. Looks good, and that'll fit. Well, either way, probably best that way. I kind of wish the holster was removable. Oh, it is. Good. Okay, it pegs in right there. I don't know if that's supposed to be removable, though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it pegs in solidly, so you can pop that out and have him... Honestly, I don't know if that's designed that way, because it does look like there was a little adhesive on that, so maybe it's not supposed to come off, but I'm going to blame that one on me. The other issues we're discovering are definitely production problems, but pulling that holster off, that's on me. That's my bad. So the medical bag is going to hang... I don't like it that way because I don't want it hanging over his holster like that. But then if you do it this way, the pouches are on the back, which doesn't seem as cool. But I'm probably not going to display him with that anyway, so it doesn't matter. We have got a comic book, which is a neat little piece. It's a softer plastic. An actual medical kit that has hinges, which is nice. Got all kinds of little medical supplies sculpted in there. I do not need those to be separate little accessories. Thank you very much. And that hopefully closes up nice and tight. Has a really thick handle, though. I'm curious to see if the hand is going to interact with that well. Because this does seem almost a little... Well, you know what, though? For the cartoon, that's probably about the right size. Because, of course, I've got Lifeline's medical case in mind, which is not appropriate. Because this is not Lifeline. So that's probably about the right size. And we've got, of course, plenty of alternate hands. Oh, look, this one is shaped to carry that. So there you go. Oh, I wonder... Okay, so he's got what looks like a flare pistol. Which makes much more sense. That can go right in the holster. But I'm wondering if... We've discovered kind of standard issue walkie-talkies here. I wonder if that could go in that holster too. And the answer to that is not really. No. Okay. So the flare gun is going to go in the holster. The helmet, we didn't take too close a look at. I was more concerned about if it actually comes off of the head, which it does. Looks great. Very nicely done. And color-wise, matches as well as a separate piece needs to. Looks good. We have Yelling Head. I don't think I'm going to be using that one. Certainly not on the shelf. Although I do believe this one... If I'm remembering Doc's card art correctly, I think this might be pretty good. And then his larger flare mortar type thing, flare launcher, with, kind of surprisingly, a separate piece that hopefully slides in there. Yeah. Real snug. That might be because this is warped a little bit. That's right, I'm going all in on the issues on Doc here. I really hope the rest of this wave is a little more successful than Doc has been. So this is very much like the original figures flare launcher. Looks good. No paint, but honestly, I don't really need any paint on this. I don't know, where would you even have put it? I don't want wear. I don't want painted wear. And I don't know that much detailing... I don't know, maybe paint the strap, but not necessary. Other hands that we've got. We've got the one hand for carrying the case. We've got a trigger finger hand for each side. And then... Oh, no, that's interesting. So sometimes Super 7 does the up and down and the side-to-side hinges. But it looks like we've got two... trigger finger hands for the right hand that are slightly different. This one has a tighter grip than the other one. So maybe one's for the rifle and one's for the well, you can see this grip is probably a little too... I mean, the rifle fits in there, so I don't know. I can't explain why they're two different grips. The pistol seems to have a significantly smaller grip on it. Well, not really. Oh, but maybe it's the trigger finger. That might be the answer, because this trigger finger is more extended. But also doesn't... Well, yeah, maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe. As much as I do love Super 7, sometimes some of their design decisions are a mystery to me. I'm not going to lie. Of course, the Sunbow rifle, which I love getting that. A little bent at the top here. But I want this to come with every single Super 7 Ultimate Joe. And then finally, The gloved hands, nice touch, appreciated. And you'll notice the right hand here sculpted to carry the case. And it doesn't fit very snugly on there. Maybe for this? No, because that doesn't really work either. Like I said, sometimes there's some mysteries. And then a left hand with trigger fingers. So, design-wise, yeah. I think he's fantastic. So for reasons unknown to me, my phone just stopped recording. Has never happened before. My gosh, I hope it never happens again. But it just stopped and shut down. Like went to lock screen. So what I was saying, design-wise, I'm very, very happy with this dock. Execution-wise, I'm not. I'm going to be contacting Big Bad and requesting a replacement because this has just got too many issues for me to accept for a $55 action figure. And it's a shame, but I just they're too many. Once they started piling on, it's more than I'm willing to deal with. I mean, and honestly, this one alone, this is not you can scrape that off. Like, no, I shouldn't have to scrape that off. And judging by the plastic up here, if I try to scrape this off, it's just going to leave damage on that arm. So with all of the issues inherent in this figure, I'm going to contact Big Bad and send it back. But if I can get one that, has less issues, I don't need issue free, although that would be nice. But I need less issues. So we'll do a little follow up on that maybe down the road. But for now, here is Doc, who could have been outstanding and instead is a little disappointing. The rest of the week, I will be reviewing the rest of this wave. I hope they turn out better. Until then, yo, Joe.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.